2024 just ended, and we are looking back over the money goals we reached and the ones we are still working towards. Keep listening to get the inside scoop. Hello, and welcome to the Wealth Minded MD podcast with your money best friends. I'm Dr. Alicia Taylor.
And I'm Dr. Brittany Halford.
And of course, we're here to help you build wealth and make good money decisions so you can create the life you desire with more control over your time.
Hey, Alicia, one of the most important financial tasks we do as doctors is protect ourselves, which means getting the right insurance. I recall purchasing my insurance policy just a few days before I graduated from residency. What was your experience?
So I got my insurance when I graduated from medical school right before I started residency. I actually called a few agents, but I had the best service from Pradeep Auto at PKA Insurance Group. He was super responsive and personable. Unlike some of the other agents, Pradeep actually got me quotes from all the major companies and actually took the time to explain the nuances in each of their policies. What I loved most is that he wasn't just this way for me. Whenever I would send one of my friends to him, he would not only speak to them, but he'd also let them know where to go or who to contact if there were better options or discounts available.
At PKA Insurance Group, Pradeep Auto and Matthew Peterson are independent brokers focusing on disability and life insurance. They excel in securing coverage for physicians and other medical professionals. Discounts on disability insurance can range from 10 to 40% depending on your situation. And there is now an A+ rated carrier offering up to $10 million of life insurance without lapse. If you are very healthy with limited to no medical issues, approval is likely in 5 minutes. Reach out to PKA Insurance to discuss your disability or life insurance needs at www.pkainsurance.com or call 1-800-258-1018.
All right, Brittany, it is New Year's Day. What is going on over there in your world?
Oh my goodness. So recently we dog sat for, come on, I'm getting to the story, y'all. It's good. So Brooke, when she was 3, she's like, Mommy, I want a dog. And I was like, okay, you can have a dog when you turn 6.
It's a very specific age. Okay, keep going. Sorry.
Now, why did I say 6? Because she never forget that I said that. And now Brooke is 6. She turned 6 in September. And so she wants a dog. And I'm not ready for a dog. I still have some decluttering to do. KJ is still in nighttime diapers. Like, I'm not ready. So instead, my boss has a dog and she typically goes to visit various colleagues and stays with them for a few days. I was like, oh, this is perfect. I am going to ask Joe if we can just dog sit Annie for a few hours just to start. So KJ was really hesitant. He was like on the couch and Annie's just running around. She's not paying him any mind, but he would run to the bathroom if he had to go pee and then run to a chair because he didn't want to like be on the same level as the dog. And Brooke was like, oh, Annie, come on, Annie. And so she's taking care of Annie. Annie's having a good old time. Eventually, KJ warms up to Annie and he's like bringing her dog food to her. She's on the couch and he's like right in front of her face. So I say all that to say that it was a really great experience. My kids really enjoyed the time, but I'm wondering, should I have done that? Because now it's like making them want a dog more. I don't know if this is beneficial or harmful for what I'm trying to do as far as stalling the dog. We will eventually get a dog, but I just realized that it's going to be my dog. They're going to help somewhat, but it's going to be an additional responsibility for me. And as I'm still working towards achieving some of the goals that I did not achieve in 2024, I don't want to add on this additional layer. So thank you, Joe, if you ever listen to this podcast, for allowing us to borrow Annie for a moment's time. And she's going to come back in January and probably spend a night or spend a weekend and we'll sit when he goes on vacation. But it's very interesting. I don't know if it was helpful or harmful, people, so you can let me know.
That's so funny. So what did your husband think about the dog?
So my husband was not here. He was working and but our nanny asked because she's like, the dog was on the couch. And I was like, yes. She's like, don't let that dog sit on the couch. And I'm like, okay. And she's like, Kevin, are we getting a dog? He's like, not yet. So I don't know. But he grew up with pets. I really didn't grow up with pets. So I'm sure he will be okay with it, but he's just like, not right now. I think he feels that we still have a lot of work to do. And we want the kids to be a little bit older so we don't have to spend so much time monitoring them.
No, I get that. So many of my friends have asked me why I don't have a dog. And, it's funny when I would be dating someone, they would be like, Leisha, you don't like dogs. And I'm like, okay, first of all, it's not that I do not like dogs. Okay. I have no aversion to dogs. I think they are amazing animals. No judgment on people who have dogs. The reason I do not personally have a dog is because the same reason you said, Brittany, it is added responsibility. My life is already crazy as is. I cannot imagine having to wake up in the middle of the night to take some dog out to go use the bathroom. That would just blow me. Okay. And then having to clean up after the dog. Like, no, no, no. I can barely clean up after myself. My clothes need to be washed. Like, it's a whole thing. It's like when people say, Leisha, when are you going to have kids? Look, right now, my kids are sitting on ice and they're chilling and they're doing quite fine. And I need to like get my life together. Like, I'm like, oh my gosh, I just cannot right now with the dog. I have a friend who just got a dog and she rearranged her whole schedule. She's like, oh, I can't stay out late. I need to take the dog out. Oh, I got to be home. My dog's. And I'm just like, that seems like you have another child.
Yes.
And not right now. Same answer as you.
I think they are great companions, but they are a huge responsibility. And the thing is that they don't grow up. Like, yes, my kids were babies. I had to nurse them, all that, feed them. But now KJ can get himself dressed. Like, the dog can never put on their doggy coat. Maybe they can. I mean, you could teach dogs to do some cool stuff. Maybe I just need to be a better dog trainer or like hire somebody who could teach my dog to be super independent, pick up their own doggy poop, But at this time, that is not the case. Annie is 11 years old. And I was like, this is the first time me picking up poop out of somebody's yard. But clearly, it will not be the last if we get a dog. So to all our dog lovers, please let us know any tips or tricks that you have for how to care for a dog in the most efficient way without it consuming your life.
Yes. And I think what you all are doing, which is like having somebody else's dog come over for a little bit, it's kind of like me with kids right now. I like go visit my nieces and my nephews. I play with them like, ooh, so cute. And then when I'm tired, or they're doing too much, I go home or they go home. And so I like what you're doing with the dog situation, Brittany. I actually really do admire it.
Yeah. Well, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Hopefully I could keep kicking this can down the road. We will see how it goes.
As physicians, one of the most important things that we can do is make sure that we secure our income, because a lot of our financial plans are contingent on our high doctor income. One of the things that you will need to do is make sure that you get long-term disability insurance.
Now, Pradeep and his team at PKA Insurance Group have a reputation for putting people over profits and always doing what's best. Do not hesitate to email PKA Insurance and his team today.
They will help you get the insurance you need with the service you deserve.
So, Leisha, it is the new year. I love this time because it's like, oh, it's a new year. I can accomplish new goals. And I'm like, well, wait, what did I accomplish last year? How do I make new goals when I don't even know if I achieved my last year's goals? And then it also brings on goals that I have pushed off. Talking about kicking cans down the road, there are some things that weigh a little bit heavy on my spirit of things that I desire to achieve and I didn't achieve. So if you are in that same boat, just know that you're still alive, so you can achieve those goals. And in this episode, we're going to talk about the money goals that we achieved in 2024. Hopefully, this reflection helps you to set forth new goals for 2025 or helps you to feel good about the goals that you achieved in 2024. All right, so I'm going to kick it off. And I think the easiest goal for me to talk about is maxing out my retirement accounts. So 401k, 457b, and Roth IRA for 2024. This is something that I've been doing for the past 2 years, and I'm just really grateful. That's a decent amount of money because what it's $3,000 for 401k, the same 457b, and then 7K for a Roth IRA. So, Alicia, let's do the math.
So we have 46 plus 7.
$53,000 I put in retirement account. So I think that's pretty good.
It is more than pretty good. It is very good. And I want to clarify that technically speaking, a 457b is not a retirement account, but it functions very similarly to one. So for those who are listening that are getting technical, we understand the difference. We're just trying to simplify things right now. But that is very good, Brittany. I have to ask, this is something that you do based on your salary, or that's something that you and your husband do? Like the money that's going into this, is this money that you've made or money that you and your husband have made?
This is money that I have made.
Wow. Okay.
We always go back and forth about like my goals versus,
Well, I wanted to say that because I think it is a big elephant in the room sometimes for people listening that are not partnered or not married or don't share finances with somebody, right? Because oftentimes there is this assumption that if you are married to a spouse that also brings in an income, particularly a high income, then you have quote unquote an easier pathway. And so when people talk about financial goals that they've reached, a lot of people can think, well, it's easy for you to max out your 401k if you're married and you have two incomes. Well, that's not hard, right? But if you're saying, I did this based on the money that I made alone, not including my husband's income, then it's like, wow, that is quite a bit of money from your own salary. Now, I'm not discounting that. Things can be a lot easier when you're partnered, especially partnered
Definitely.
to a high earning spouse, right? You probably have a little bit more disposable income, right? You're sharing expenses, that sort of thing.
Yes.
So I don't want to discount that, but I also don't want to discount the achievement that you have made. There are plenty of people who make the same amount as you, or maybe make even more than you because you work part-time from my understanding, right? And that's remarkable.
Yeah, thank you. Leisha, I want to say that it is easier because I'm married. If I had 2 kids and lived in Boston by myself, then it might not be. I might not be able to max out these accounts based upon just my salary because there would be fewer shared expenses. And I think it is still possible if you have the intention, right? And if you're managing your money appropriately and you're not living above your means and you are prioritizing these things. So it requires intention. It requires a little bit of strategy. But yeah, I'm not going to deny that it's easier for me to accomplish some of these financial goals because I have a partner who is also a high income earner. Yes, that is true. That is true.
I actually think that you undersold yourself, right? Yes, that is a big goal, but you actually put even more into retirement accounts than you stated because we didn't even include your employer's match. And so when we include the match, you have stuffed lots of money, potentially well over 60 grand, if not more, into tax advantaged accounts, whether it's your 401k or 403b at your job plus your employer match, you got that money. 457b, there's no match, but you still put over 20,000 into that account. And then you're back to a Roth IRA. And so that's a substantial sum of money to put as one person into these accounts. Because I'm sure that your husband probably utilized some of these same accounts from the money that he earned at his own job as well. And so when you think about a family of 4 putting collectively well over 6 figures into tax advantage accounts each year, that is remarkable. That is a huge feat and nothing to take lightly. So congratulations.
Thank you, Leisha. You know what, girl, you always make me feel better about myself. So let me tell you, podcast people, if you don't have a friend in your circle who pats you on your back and makes you feel good about yourself, you need to find one. So Leisha, thank you, thank you, thank you. All right. So one of the things that I really love about what you do, you talk about this often, is that you tithe in the church and you're always giving money away. And one of the reasons to do that, right, is we want to feel good and philanthropic. And I think we share this same sentiment that to whom much is given, much is required. And so we want to make sure that we're giving back to our community and giving back to others. And so another financial goal that I achieved this year is just donating more this year. So we typically donate to this company called Bridge Over Troubled Waters. It is a nonprofit who provides housing and financial education and additional supports for homeless youth. And we tithe to our church. But this year, there are a few things going on in the world that just really pulled on my heartstrings. So I also started to donate to Doctors Without Borders. And also, we basically are sponsoring a child in Bangladesh. And I'm really excited that God has given us so much that we are able to give more away to support people who need it most, but also to help us to show that you're not alone. You're not alone in this world. I appreciate all that has been given to me. And so I need to also give that away and support others.
I love that. Man, I have so many thoughts, but let me go back for a second because I forgot that I didn't say anything about my investment accounts either. So I also maxed out my 403b. I have a 403b because I work for a nonprofit institution, which I'm sure you do too. So it's just semantics. So I maxed that out, got my employer match. Also did my backdoor Roth IRA last year. And so put a substantial sum myself into tax advantage accounts, retirement accounts, that sort of thing. I did not contribute to my job's 457b for a few reasons. One is that the amount you have to make per year is very, very high at my institution. I think it's 400,000. Newsflash, I don't make that much. I wasn't eligible to contribute to that account this year. I know the minimum you have to make is different at each institution. Some institutions it's only 100. I say only, but that's relative. Some institutions it's 100,000. Some institutions you have to make 200,000. Some institutions like mine is 400,000. So the minimum that you have to make each year is very high. So that's one reason. And even if I was eligible though, I would not have contributed. I have actually had several meetings with the HR department at my institution about this because I had wanted to contribute, or I thought I would. I had several candid conversations with them. Why is the minimum so high? What can we do to change this? That sort of thing. And they said that they had purposely made it very high. They were still working through some of the kinks with the account. Right now, the distribution options are not very good. So what does that mean? Because the 457B is not exactly a retirement account, you actually get access to the money as soon as you leave your employer. So if you retire early or just quit your job, you have access to that money. They will usually at most jobs ask you, how do you want us to give you your money? Do you want it in installments over 10 years? Do you want to wait until you retire? Do you want it as a lump sum? Like all of this stuff, right? At my job, they only have one distribution option, and that's you get it all at one time.
Oh, wow.
That wouldn't be very helpful for me. That was put in place years ago. They're in the process of changing it. But until they get that changed, they purposely made the minimums very high just so that people wouldn't be in a disadvantaged position because maybe they don't read the fine print as much and that sort of thing. So anyway, I wanted to say that for folks like you who are at a very stable employer that has really good distribution options that are eligible to contribute, then doing that 457B is for sure something that you want to think about. And if I worked for your institution, I would do it. But at my institution, the distribution options are not very good. The minimum is too high. And so I'm not contributing to that account.
I think you raised a really good point about the 457B. And I think we should probably do a whole episode about 457B because you're right. There are a lot of nuances that you have to be very mindful of. And I remember sitting with our HR people to understand all of those fine details and a representative from Fidelity, because ours are housed through Fidelity, about what the distribution options were, because you want to make sure that you are investing for the long term, but then you're not going to have this huge tax burden. Y'all know I don't try to evade taxes, but I try to avoid them as much as I can. Right. And so I think, yes, there are a lot of nuances to the account. And I'm even considering, and we could talk about this in an episode, but for 2025, if I want to continue to use this account. So thank you for bringing that up.
Yeah, no problem. So I wanted to talk about that I too have invested quite a large sum, I think, for myself. Like I'm very proud of myself that I was able to max out the 403B, do my backdoor Roth IRA. I mean, that is what, 30,000 even before we consider my employer's match. And so I'm very happy about that. You mentioned donating, and I did want to talk about that because I tithe. So I gave 10% of my income to the church. And similar to you, God has really been pulling on my heartstrings. One of the things that I reflect on each year is what kind of person do I want to be? Am I that person? What steps do I need to take to become that person? And one of the traits that I really wanted to develop, one of the core values that I have is that of generosity. I want to be a generous person. I want to be a person who gives abundantly. For me, that started with tithing, giving to my church. But in 2024, I really felt the tug to give to other people. It's one of those things when you ask God to make you more generous, he just puts you in situations where people ask you for money. And so in 2024, it seemed like every couple of weeks, someone was asking me to donate to this cause or that cause or whatever. And because generosity is a core value of mine, I always wanted to give. But it was putting me in a bind financially because I wouldn't say I have a strict budget, but I have sort of ideas about where I want the money to go and stuff. I'm constantly giving $100 here, $200 there. At the end of the month, that's kind of like, wait, what happened? I thought I was going to have a little bit more left over than I do. So I've realized that I needed to make room in my budget, room in my spending plan for these extra gifts, if you will. And so I had started off last year saying, okay, any extra money that I make, so any 1099 income I bring home, I'm not only going to give 10% to my church, but I'm also going to put 5% in what I call my giving fund. So if someone asks me for a donation, I can give it out of that fund. And when the fund is depleted, then it's depleted, but I'm putting money in there each month from extra income that I'm receiving. And so I started doing that this year. Sometimes when there's a couple weeks have passed, right, and no one has asked me for a donation, I will invest that money, right? So it's housed in a brokerage account. Half of it is sitting in cash and half of it is invested. And so I'm really proud of myself just being able to donate more. For Christmas, I gave some of my MAs that I work with, Visa gift cards, that sort of thing, just because I really wanted to do something nice for them. And I just kind of felt that tug. And so usually when I donate, I try to make sure it's tax deductible, right? I'm all about saving money on taxes. But there are other times that I'm giving and it may not be as tax deductible. I'm saying this to say that similar to you, when I look back over my giving statement for 2024, especially at my church, I'm like, whoa, that was a lot. Thankfully, I can get some sort of tax advantage from it. But I'm also really proud of myself about the amount that I have donated because sometimes people ask me, Leisha, don't you want to pay off debt? Don't you want to invest more? The money that you're giving away, that's money that you're not using to pay down debt. That's money that you're not using to invest. And, it's so funny. I had a conversation with Jim Dolly of White Coat Investor, and we were both sharing about how when you give more, it almost makes you feel richer. It does something to your psyche that triggers you to remember that you have more than enough and can really make life even more fulfilling. And so for me, that's one of the reasons why giving and generosity is a core value of mine. And so that is one of the things that I'm also really proud that I've accomplished this year, is just donating a lot more.
Yeah. I love that. Also, you are a gift giver that brings you a lot of joy. We've talked about that on multiple episodes, right? Even you, like, Brittany, now listen, I don't want to have to give you money to put into your kids' 529. I want to buy them a true gift.
That's true. Yes, yes, yes.
It really taps into who you are as a person. And I'm glad that you have figured out ways to do that just throughout life. And then recognize, like, be astute enough to recognize, okay, I want to do this. This is something that feels good to me. And while it feels good, I also need to meet these financial goals. So how can I create a structure within my finances that supports me to achieve both? I feel like we can do everything and anything, honestly. Sometimes you can't do it all at the same time, but when you're really thoughtful, intentional, and create the structures to support the things that you want to do, then that's when it's going to happen. And that is what I'm hearing from you as far as underlying theme and achieving a financial goal in 2024. So I really love that. And I think it's a great message for all of us to continue on in 2025.
Thank you. Thank you. It's so funny. So I do not usually like giving people money, but for my MAs, I was like, they probably want money. They probably want, you know what I mean? And so I did end up giving them Visa gift cards, but I bought these small, like, holiday chocolate baskets for some of the staff on my research team because they've been doing so much working with me, and bought all these gifts for my brothers, my parents. And so I genuinely take pride in giving people gifts, and so fortunate that I've been blessed enough to be able to afford to do that. So similar to you, I'm maxing out retirement accounts, and I donated more this past year.
Love that. Okay, so here's another thing that we both share is that we've created an additional stream of income this year. I don't want to downplay this all. So we launched this podcast February. Our first episode dropped February 28th of 2024. That is a huge accomplishment. And I've enjoyed this journey. It has not been easy. I'm sorry, I'm just going to be real. We're working as a partnership, and we both have our own ideas, which is great because we both have our own ideas. So it's like we're committed to this thing and we're working through it. And I think that, yes, it's an additional stream of income for us, but it's also helping us to fulfill a joint purpose of educating, for me, particularly women in healthcare, but I know we have a lot of guys who listen to the podcast. So educating a community in a way that feels fun, in a way that feels intentional, and allowing us to be very vulnerable about some of our mistakes and saying, okay, we're not the perfect financial person. We make mistakes. Life happens to us too. And you don't knock yourself down. You just reflect on it. Okay, I could do some things better, and you keep moving. Alicia, so I'm so grateful that I have this opportunity to just say, thank you, because this is not something that I initially thought that I was going to do, but it has been a phenomenal, rewarding journey. And this is just the beginning. This is just the beginning. So I don't know, just a lot of gratitude and warm fuzzies over here reflecting on that.
It has been a rewarding journey. I agree with you. And I think this highlights one of the things that we're both really passionate about, which is having the ability to monetize a hobby, and not just something that you enjoy doing, but something that is impactful. Most people say, I want to be able to earn a living, right? And not worry about money. But I also want to be able to make a difference in the world. And we're both physicians. And so one could say that we make a difference in the world through just our doctor jobs. But I wanted to do something more. And it seems like you did as well, right? We saw a need. A lot of doctors, particularly female physicians, people in healthcare, were having a lot of financial struggles that people outside of medicine may not be aware of. Significant student loan debt, maybe not investing as much, not being as good with money, overspending, going all the way down the list. And so being able to help people rectify some of those issues, being able to help a group of people that the outside world may not view as needing help, has been quite rewarding. And to be able to provide that help in a way that still fuels us and in a way that makes it worth our time has been great. And I'm saying all of this to say that we want to empower you to do the same thing. Brittany and I have a free masterclass coming up on January 7th, so in 6 days or so, on side gigs and monetizing a hobby. and some of the benefits of 1099 tax strategies when you are able to do so, then we would love for you all to attend. So we'll put the link in the show notes, register for that. But I think our business, our partnership is a testament of that, of us both joining forces and saying, hey, I have a mission to do this. Oh, you have the same mission. Great. I would like to do it in this way. Right.
Mhm.
And having you say, well, I hadn't thought about it doing it in that way, but I'm open to it. Being open-minded, being flexible, being able to say, okay, we're running into various obstacles. How are we going to get over those? And then really seeing the fruits of our labor sort of pay off as the
Yeah.
podcast continues to grow, as people like you all listening continue to listen, and more importantly, share it with other people that you think could find it impactful. It really does help and allow us to earn money to then be able to grow even more and help even more people. And so it's just been great and really fulfilled my life, because sometimes people can think, oh, podcasting is pretty easy. No, I actually probably could make a lot more money by just working extra shifts at the hospital, but I may not be as fulfilled. And so being able to have a life where I can be fulfilled doing different things is worth it to me. And I'm really grateful, just like you.
Oh, alrighty. So moving right along, and Leisha, this is something that I learned from you, and I'm not as good as you, girl. So that's gonna be my goal for 2025. Let me get as good as Leisha with these credit card points. But that is something that I started in 2024, is learning more about credit card hacking and how can I leverage all of my expenses and use them to build in more joy or impact in the world. So joy in my life, or impact with giving them away, purchasing other people's trips. We were able to pay for a trip for my father and my brother to come and visit us when we were in Chicago. And it was just really lovely that I just had these points waiting. And I was like, okay, well, I can use it for this and to create those memories. So I think learning about credit card hacking has been very fruitful for me so far. And I'm looking forward to seeing the full payoff this year in 2025 for our 10-year anniversary. But I just want to say, just being in your presence has helped me to learn new skills. And that's one of the things that I'm really, really happy that I embraced the fear a bit and took this on.
You know, I had started this in 2023, I think. So been in this hobby for a little bit. But I think for me, the term credit card hacking kind of threw me off a little bit. I thought, oh, you're doing something you're not supposed to be doing. You're kind of gaining the system. And it just felt wrong to me. And so I never really liked that term. And so one of the things that I've started to think about it is being more efficient with my spending and learning how to get the rewards that are available to me and how to really do that in a way that maximizes my fulfillment. And for me, it really has proven true. I've been more open-minded than I was potentially in the past with getting credit cards, obviously paying off the balance in full each month, but also being able to utilize those points for free travel. Like in 2024 is when I really started redeeming the points.
Mm.
I had booked some travel in 2023, but I hadn't actually taken those flights and taken those trips. And so in 2024 is when I really kind of got my feet wet, if you will, and kind of took off from there. My first credit card rewards trip was to South Africa. So starting it off with a bang, then, ended up going to Spain and France and Cabo, and really have kind of hit the ground running there, and am really excited about trips upcoming in 2025. But yeah, I mean, you and I talk about investing, and that's one part of personal finance, about paying down debt. That's one part of personal finance. But another part of personal finance is being efficient with your spending and understanding that if you could get cash back, or in our case, credit card points that we utilize for travel when we spend things, then why would we not? And so for me, coming to that realization, being better at it, taking the first leap, being willing to put in the work needed to learn it and then utilize it effectively has been great and rewarding. I have probably gotten about $10,000 to $20,000 of travel, if not more, for free in 2024. And this is just
What?
a ballpark.
Wait, $10,000 to $20,000 of travel?
It might be more than that. Yeah. Cause I mean, when I booked it, me and my partner, so we went to South Africa. I mean, it was my family, right? But I booked our flights. We booked business class, first class. When you're flying internationally, sometimes the planes don't actually have a first class section. They just have business class, which is the lie flat seats that turn into a bed. Anyway, on our flight there, those seats in cash were $7,500 to South Africa. And
Wow.
because we utilized points, I think I only paid about $500 in taxes and fees. And so that's 2 flights that we utilized points for that we paid $1,000 out of pocket. So 500 each. And we got what? $15,000 of travel. And that's just one trip, right? That's not including all the others. So it might be substantially more than that. My flight to Spain, I think the cash price of those flights were around $3,000 or $4,000 a piece, and I used points. I stayed in the Grand Hyatt Madrid in the center of the city in Spain for 3 or 4 nights when I was there, and that was completely free. I don't know what the cash cost of that would have been. Maybe around $700 or $800 per night for the hotel. I don't know. And then I went to Cabo. So yeah, I mean, I've gotten lots
Yeah.
of value from this. I think if I weren't doing the credit card thing, I would pay cash for stuff, but I probably wouldn't pay cash for a business class flight. But what I've
Mhm.
realized is that my choices are pay cash for an economy flight or pay even less money in cash and get a first class or a business class flight. And so I've gotten tremendous value out of that. And so I'm very proud of myself. I don't know if I started 2024 with the goal of I'm gonna get the most credit card points, but I did have a goal of traveling. And so being able
Mhm.
to travel in luxury for very low price is definitely something that I will say, yes, I accomplished that this past year.
And then more so than just, your travel. I mean, you have been an inspiration. So thank you. And I am looking forward to all of my rewards, like cashing in my rewards for 2025. This year we actually paid our taxes with credit cards. And that was very scary to me before.
We'll have to talk about that in an entire episode because, as tax season approaches, people are gonna be like, wait, what?
Yeah, it was wait what on my end for a bit. So, but we did it and I'm still alive and we got a lot of points. So, yes, we should definitely share that. Another thing that I'm just really, really grateful for that we were able to achieve in 2024 was purchasing a new home. And I just want to say to all the listeners, thank you for going on my home purchase journey with me. You all have been there from the start. And it has been such a blessing to be able to have enough space where my kids can make a mess and I can still be a positive parent, to allow for my nephew to stay with us for an entire month and us not pull out each other's hair because he had his own space. It just has been very, very rewarding for me understanding a little bit more about, okay, how does this thing actually work? Not only did we purchase a home, but then I refinanced the same home that we purchased just months prior. So I think that for me, the new home is great from a financial perspective, but also just how much we've learned along the way that I can share with other people, that this is something that you too can do with our purchase of a new home. Now, our old home is a real estate property, so that's a whole nother journey. So we became new homeowners and real estate investors all at the same time. So it's been a very rewarding journey. And I'm just thinking about, okay, how can I leverage these skills, all of the learnings from 2024 to achieve my goal in 2025 of purchasing more properties and leveraging real estate as tax deductions?
Yeah, I'm very proud of you too. I mean, I am not someone who purchased a home. And so I always look in awe to people who have because there's a lot involved there. Getting the documents together, getting pre approved, actually finding a house, putting in an offer, having your offer accepted, actually moving in. My brothers say whenever you buy a house, there's always something you're going to do to repair it or something you got to fix. And so that just takes a lot of financial wellness. You got to have a good financial foundation. So I'm also very proud of you also being savvy enough to refinance your home when you got a good rate and turning one property into a real estate property. Like that's an episode on its own too. We got to talk about that and teach people maybe how to run the numbers for that. But that is quite a feat. I'm still in my apartment, which I love actually. But one of the things that I did was not purchase a home, but was really lay a foundation for my emergency fund. I want to be able to purchase a home, and Lord willing, I'll be able to do that in a year or two. But one of the reasons why I didn't purchase one last year, amongst many of the reasons, was I am just very risk averse. And hearing your stories about homeownership had made it very clear to me that I needed a pretty large emergency fund. Like, not only is it affording the down payment and escrow fees and all of that, but it's like having money in reserves for repairs and still making sure that I'm financially secure. So one of my big accomplishments was beefing up my emergency fund. I now have well over 6 months in an emergency fund. And some people will say, okay, you only need 3 months, or you only need a few thousand, or you're a physician, so maybe you don't need one at all, right? But it was really important to me to have an emergency fund when I had achieved 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, that kind of thing. Felt okay, but I still didn't feel as secure. I just thought, I'm that person. People look at me and they say, oh my gosh, I have so much money in cash. What are you doing? But for me, this gives me peace of mind.
Mhm.
And peace of mind cannot be overstated. Like, I am investing a lot, so I'm not worried about my investments. And for me, I would rather have the security of having a decent emergency fund in cash, or not necessarily in cash, but sitting in a high yield savings account, and just feel at peace with that decision. Because now I can say, okay, now I can potentially start looking at homes or build up the down payment money now and then take that leap. And so one of my big accomplishments last year was really having a really solid, in my opinion, emergency fund.
Yes, Leisha, you cannot understate the value of peace of mind. I really love that. And honestly, reflecting, because we've purchased the home and we have a few additional expenses, I'm kind of at that stage like you, like, okay, I want a little bit more before we take on a bit more risk. So I hear you. And I think that that is a commendable goal that I am working to achieve in early 2025 so then I could purchase my homes. But I'm like, I don't feel like I want to purchase more real estate property until we have more income to support all the things that might happen after we purchase this real estate property. So, girl, I hear you. And I think that is very thoughtful because sometimes you can see a new shiny object or we could feel this FOMO and do things before we're actually ready to do them. So, finding peace and being patient, I think, is just a goal in itself, which is something that I'm still trying to work on. Peace and patience. So I love that. And this is not something that I have achieved in 2024, but I'm sure you have. And because you've talked about it a little bit. And so I just want to bring it up. I'm sorry I'm being a little nosy. You just asked for forgiveness instead of permission. So I'm just going to dive right in. Can you talk a little bit about your student loans and all
Yeah.
that you've achieved with your student loans?
Yeah. Thank you for bringing this up. I was going to talk about this. So I'm glad you read my mind. You read my mind. I think I've been transparent about this before, but in case I have not, I will take the opportunity to be transparent now. I'm pretty open book. So when I finished medical school, I don't remember the balance, but when I finished residency, so when I finished training, I probably had maybe around $300,000 in student loans. For those who are listening to that number and their eyes just popped out of their head. So the average for medical school graduates is over 200,000. I also went to graduate school, so I got a master's degree in public health, and then there was some interest that accrued on the loans. I didn't actually take out 300,000, but I think the interest had accrued right after I graduated from medical school or something like that, and then over time as the time passed when I was still in training. But anyway, maybe it was a little less than 300. It was close to there. Let's just say 300 for easy math's sake. So $250,000 of that is eligible for the public service loan forgiveness program, which I'm enrolled in. And I have a little less than, I think, 4 years left in that program. So the whole balance will get wiped out in 4 years. Just have to make the minimum payment. But $50,000 of that, there weren't private loans, but they were loans that were not eligible for public service loan forgiveness for some strange reason. And I called and called and called and sent in many emails, as you know me, I would, but they did not qualify. So anyway, I knew that I had to pay back $50,000 in loans myself. Well, most of our federal loans for most people are in this pause or this forbearance where you're not having to pay on your loans. And so I said, I'm going to take this opportunity to kind of wipe out the private loans. And so I had two $25,000 loans. One of them I completely paid off. So that's gone. And then the other one, I have about $10,000 left over. And I could pay it off right now. The reason why I had waited is because I applied for a couple more loan forgiveness programs. And in those applications, they asked for the balance of my student loans that I had left over. And so wasn't sure if, I end up getting those programs if they still want to see that I have a balance and that sort of thing. So I just have money kind of holding still in a high yield savings account. But yeah, really proud of myself. I paid off 40,000 of the private loan. So that's great. And 10,000 left over. Hopefully that will be forgiven through these other loan forgiveness programs that I applied for. But if not, I will wipe that out too. So feel very good and confident with that. So I'm very proud of myself. Public service loan forgiveness, as I mentioned, will sort of wipe out the remaining balance, but hoping that some of these additional loan forgiveness programs will sort of help supplement the payment that I'm supposed to make each month. And so TBD on those programs. I haven't heard back quite yet, but just very optimistic. For me, it was like I purposefully took a job that paid less than what I could earn in other jobs because I thought that it would make me more fulfilled, because it gave me more schedule flexibility, X, Y, and Z. But one of the things I thought to myself is, are there other ways that I could supplement my income? We'll have to do a whole episode on this, but I talk about all the time using OPM, using other people's money to fund my financial goals, whether that's travel with credit card points, whether that is these loan forgiveness programs with my student loan debt, whether it is insurance companies' money with freezing my eggs. I try to do my best by using OPM to finance my financial goals. And when it comes to student loans, I'm certainly utilizing that as well. So TBD on that, but I'm really proud of myself with the money that I have paid off in the private loans and the programs that I've applied for that I'm hopeful that I will get. And if all else fails, then public service loan forgiveness should hopefully come through for me in a few years. So very, very proud about that.
Yes. Congratulations, Leisha. I am always so in awe of your tenacity, girl. Because you know me, I'm lazy. I'm like, shoot, forget this public service loan forgiveness. I'm just going to work. I'm just going to pay these off and, just pay off my loans. Like, I didn't apply for anybody's program or I didn't even think about scholarships. So the fact that you're always being strategic of how can I leverage, okay, I have this goal to me, but there are more ways to skin a cat. There are so many other opportunities and you seek out those opportunities and you don't take no for an answer. And so I really love that tenacity. And I think that that's something actually that I would like to bring into 2025 is just like not taking no for an answer. It's like my mom, she asked for a discount at the dollar store. And I'm like, okay, mom, come on, let's just pay it. But I think that there's something in what you all are doing and what you all are teaching to leverage all of your resources to make sure that you can meet your goals.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank Thank you. So those of you who still have some student loan debt like I do, maybe looking into some of these programs and seeing if you too can utilize other people's money to help pay that down.
All right. And so the last one that I have on my list, well, I have a few more, but we're just going to make this the last one, is investing consistently in taxable brokerage accounts. I think it's really important that we take advantage of all the tax advantage accounts that are available to us, making sure that we're getting our employer match and doing all of those things. But there's something to be said about having your money that is easily accessible and that you can control and invest it in whatever you want to invest it in. And the consistency in doing that when life has its own events, you have other financial goals. I think it's still really important that we think about adding this additional element in if we have extra cash flow. So we've invested consistently, and my husband does his own robo investing. I do my own independent picking my own stocks and ETFs. And so we have our separate accounts, and then we have a joint taxable brokerage account as well. But I'm just really excited that I've been able to do everything and still on my own invest consistently in taxable brokerage accounts.
I think that's remarkable. Also, we got to have your husband on the show at some point because I'm just very interested in the dynamic. He's like, I'm doing robo. They're going to pick the things for me. And you're like, well, I'm not trying to pay robo. And you're like, I'm going to do it on my own. Right. And so I think you guys have a very unique situation because I think a lot of married couples will probably be like, what is our collective financial plan? Like, what are we investing in versus you guys? You do your thing. I'm doing my thing and we happy.
Yeah. We do a lot of things together. We have our monthly meeting. Like I said, he was in my office yesterday and I have a whole whiteboard with all of the to-do tasks. And so we're tackling things together. But I think that it has really helped our marriage to have, this is yours, this is mine, and this is ours, because I don't have to scrutinize his investment strategy. This is the money that is his additional cash flow. All of our goals, joint financial goals, are met. And then he can do this on his own. Play money. He wanted to invest in crypto and he invested in crypto and then he lost all of his money. And I was like, can I have those documents for tax loss harvest? So we're both very much aware of what we're doing independently and how it's going to achieve a common goal, but it allows for some freedom and flexibility in the things that we do that he doesn't have to worry about. Oh, Brittany, do you need to consult this? Or why are you buying this? And so it just gives us that freedom to do us, but do us in a shared way.
I like that. So when it comes to shared investments and your 401ks, retirement accounts, do you both sit down and say, how do we want that to be invested? Or do you both kind of just do your own thing with that too?
So in our retirement accounts, those are independently through our employer. We just kind of do our own thing. We both have solo 401ks and I mostly do his solo 401k. He also has a cash balance plan. So that's a whole nother financial goal, but that's mostly his financial goal. So we put a certain amount of money in a cash balance plan in addition to all of the other stuff that I've mentioned. And I speak with those advisors, but I'm not funding that account. I'm just making sure that all of the documents and everything are organized appropriately. So, we do things independently, like I said, for the most part. It's I don't know, it's not necessarily independent. I think we come together on, okay, this is what we want to do. We both want to max out our 401ks, 403bs. We both want to max out our 457bs. We need to do the Roth IRA. So I did his backdoor Roth IRA. It's because we have these joint goals. If we want to decrease our tax liability, we want to purchase real estate properties. And so it is yes and. So yes, he does his own thing. Yes, he has his own individual accounts. And we do these things together because we have a shared vision.
Okay. I like it. I like it. And now that we've talked about our reflections for 2024, which I'm sure in the next episode, we'll talk about our goals for 2025. But for right now, we won't hold you too long. We are going to end this segment with fun money. And I thought it would be cool to talk about what I got some of my closest family members for Christmas, because I didn't talk about it on the Christmas Day episode because my family opens up Christmas gifts late. So I didn't want the odd chance that somebody in my family listens to the podcast before they opened my gift. I take pride in gift giving. So this is some of the things that I spend my money on. So I have two older brothers and they're both married and they both have kids, two nephews and a niece and a nephew on the way. So it's getting kind of crazy, but I'm excited. But I was like, oh my gosh, there's so many people to buy gifts for, plus my parents, plus other family members. Anyway, so I was like, okay, my two brothers and their wives, I'm going to get them couples gifts for the household. My middle brother, his wife is pregnant and she is Mexican and she loves margaritas, Mexican culture, understandably so, obviously. But she's pregnant. And so I got them, one of their couples gifts was this mocktail box. that has like mocktail margaritas, but it also has like wine tumblers, and she loves spicy foods. They have like different like salsas. There's a mango salsa and like a habanero salsa and like something else. It was like this mocktail box. That was one of their collective gifts for my oldest brother that him and his wife are not pregnant. They love wine and chocolate. They have been talking about this. So I got them this like wine and chocolate box that has 2 bottles of red wine. One's a Cab, one's a Merlot, and then different chocolates, chocolate covered pretzels, chocolate covered cherries, truffles, all kinds of things. So they can have this wine and chocolate experience at the house. Cause they always talk about how they can't leave the house because they got 2 kids and life is crazy. And so I thought I'm going to bring that experience to them. So that was one of their each couple's guests. They both love to host. I know you don't like to host, but my brothers love to host. So I bought them, I don't know if you'd heard of this, a food warmer mat. So it's like this portable mat that you can plug in and you can lay it on your counter and it will keep the food warm because they are always hosting. And you know, when you're hosting, you're like making stuff, but everything isn't made at the same time. And so some things get cold and people have to heat up their food, and then they're using your microwave, and then there's a line at the microwave, and it's the whole thing. So I bought them like each food warmer mats. So like now when they host, they keep the food warm. So I was like, okay, that's cool, you know, whatever. My middle brother, he really wanted like an Oura ring. And so I got him an Oura ring. My oldest brother, I can't remember one of the other gifts that I got then. And then I always get people books. So the ladies, I get them like devotionals, and the men, I usually get them some celebrities' autobiography. But I know that seems like a lot of gifts, but they always get me pretty big gifts and stuff that I can use. I always love their gifts to me. And now that I'm in a better financial position, I just thought I really want to give back to them. So those are some of the gifts that I got my brothers for Christmas.
Well, I love that. You know, I'm like, adults, you don't need my money. You got your own money, okay? So if my family is listening to this, don't be jealous because they got none of that. One of the things that I did buy, and I felt actually quite guilty. I'm sorry. I bought my mother-in-law a blanket, and she came to Boston because Brooke was out of school and I was working and we needed some additional support. So she came to Boston. She took care of Brooke. She helped to do some cooking, cleaning, and we also took family photos. So we had family photos, and she took family photos with the kids and with Kevin. And of course I was there, but took photos with her too. But so we took all these family photos and I put them in a blanket for her, and I sent it in the mail.
Oh,
and
that's
she
so
got
cute.
it. Yes, she loved it. Leisha, she loved it. She's like, oh, this blanket is too nice. I can't sleep on it. But I feel really bad because I did not send one to my father-in-law. I actually haven't bought him anything for the holidays. So I don't know. It's so hard for me to give gifts. And then I forget about certain adults and I buy one adult a gift and not the other. So anywho, Leisha, I love that you're so thoughtful and you made a very great purchases. And so next time I'm just going to give you my list of people and you just tell me what to buy. Okay.
That's so cute. That's so cute. Yeah, I love gift giving. Got my little nephews clothes and leapfrog machines so they could learn and play on their computers, that they call it. So yeah, it's family fun time. Lots of gifts. Got my cousin a bunch of stuff, aunts, uncles, all that good stuff. So like I said, generosity, not saying that that isn't anyone else's core value, but it is definitely one of mine. And so I purposely save throughout the year so that I can, around the holiday season, be able to give really amazing gifts to people. So yeah, those are some of the things that I did fun with my money.
I love that. And we just want to say happy new year. And we hope that this year is filled with so much joy, so much laughter, and compassion that you will have for others and yourself. And oh, hold on. And money. So this year is also filled with so much money. So we will see you in the next one. Hello, and thank you for listening to our podcast. And because of that, we have something for you, our Wealthy Minds Blueprint.
Have you ever thought to yourself, I wish I could be better with money? Do you want to start investing and saving for retirement, but keep delaying because you don't know where to start? Our Wealthy Minds Blueprint is here to help.
This guide will teach you what you didn't learn in your training so you can stop being confused about money and start taking what we call wealthy-minded action.
We'll help you become a master of your finances and simplify investing so you can get started today. Take control of your financial future by downloading your free copy of the Wealthy Minds Blueprint now and start building the wealth you deserve.
Hello, everybody. It's me, Brooke. I'm recording a little disclaimer for my mommy, Dr. Brittany Halford, and her friend, Dr. Lisa Taylor. Just so you know, they're not financial advisors, tax professionals, lawyers, or financial planners. Everything you hear is for education and entertainment. It's not strict financial advice, you know. So use your best judgment, chat with a tax professional, and all those other people that you need to talk to. Thanks for tuning in today. Keep cruising on your journey to wealth and wellness. Bye-bye.
One of the most important things you can do is ensure you have long-term disability insurance. Long-term disability insurance secures your income if the unexpected happens and you are unable to work due to medical illness, chronic conditions, or an accident.
Unfortunately, all insurance agents aren't created equal. Some of them are so focused on making a sale that they fail to reveal certain necessary information, tell you about discounts available, or clearly explain the process. Pradeep Bhatt and his team at PKA Insurance Group are different. They have a reputation of putting people over profits and always doing what's best.
If you need life insurance or disability insurance, reach out to Pradeep and his team today. They will help you get the insurance you need with the service you deserve.